Hello and welcome to this breakout session. We are going to be discussing how Veritas Net Backup SaaS protection can provide ransomware resilience for your SaaS application data. Before we get in, a quick round of introductions. I'm Amit Gupte. I'm your host for today. I'm a solutions architect based out of Melbourne with about 16 years of experience in the availability and digital compliance portfolio. I'm eager and happy to talk to you about SaaS protection today. I'm joined with David Cassandra. David is our sales engineer based out of Indonesia, and David is going to run our demonstration today. David has about 18 years of experience in the space of availability and digital compliance as well. So we are in good hands here with the demonstration as well. All right, as we get started, first I'm going to give you a brief overview of what Veritas Net Backup SaaS protection is, and then we'll cover how it helps provide ransomware resiliency to your SaaS application data. So first and foremost, Veritas Net Backup SaaS protection. It's also known as NSP. So I will be using NSP or SaaS protection exchangeable during this session. So SaaS protection provides secure cloud data management for all of your SaaS application data. Now, NetBackup SaaS protection is a data protection solution, but itself is a SaaS platform. So it provides backup as a service for data stored in SaaS applications. It has the performance and scalability to grow as your organization and your data grows. It has the security hardening as you need to ensure that you have your private data kept absolutely private and secure. We have another nice feature, which is letting you to choose and give access to the right users to perform self-service restores of their own data. NetBackup SaaS protection is hosted on Microsoft Azure and can store your data in an Azure data center of your choice around the world, making it easy for you to comply to your data sovereignty regulations. Lastly, it provides blazingly fast and comprehensive e-discovery searches. It allows you to perform single federated search across all of your SaaS application data in all regions across your domains. As we move on, SaaS protection, NetBackup SaaS protection provides a full backup and recovery for your SaaS application data. It automates every step of the data protection process. Any new users, new mailboxes, and new site collections you add will automatically be backed up using the policies applied without needing any intervention from your administrators. NetBackup SaaS protection is optimized to save you time and network bandwidth as well. It only copies the data that has changed since the last backup job, the incremental model. Sometimes you might not be sure which version of data you need to restore. Sometimes you might want to restore as a step in a data migration process. NetBackup SaaS protection provides very flexible restore options, allowing you to restore data from its original location to a location of your choice, or even package that data, bundle it together, and export it to the right stakeholder. You can't always predict which data you will need to restore and when. So when you need a restore to happen, it has to be simple and it has to be ready. Sometimes you might need to restore a single object. Sometimes you need to restore a bulk, or you might need to restore an entire server. That backup SaaS protection gives you the ability to perform both bulk and very granular restores. So the key question, and when we talk to our customers, the key question that we hear from everyone is, do I really need to back up a SaaS application? The short answer is yes, you really do. Now, all the SaaS applications or the SaaS platforms really run on the shared responsibility model. Now, what is shared responsibility model? The policy of shared responsibility is pretty much adopted by Microsoft and a lot of other SaaS vendors, and it is clearly articulated in your service contracts. Now, the shared responsibility model really means that they, as in the service provider, are responsible for cloud infrastructure and their application. You, as a consumer, are responsible for your own data, including security and protection of that data. They are not explicitly responsible or liable for any security and protection of your data. Now that is quite clear when you look at what the shared responsibility model term calls out. And again, this is something which should be referred as part of your service contracts as well. The second question that we end up hearing is, but the cloud makes synchronized copies of my data. Well, it does. There are synchronized copies, and the primary causes of SaaS data loss are accidental or malicious deletion of data. And sometimes, it could be something which is completely unintentional. And the most prominent one these days is ransomware. So yes, ransomware can still harm your data even if it's in the cloud. And what does synchronized copies mean? Synchronized copies mean that the ransomware is impacting all the three copies that come through. When data is deleted, yes, the deletion is replicated on the other copies as well. So when you get your data encrypted or corrupted or deleted, the replication or synchronization across multiple copies is going to take it away. Okay, but then there is recycle bin. Yes, of course there is recycle bin, but recycle bin also has a time period set on it. So after that, once the time period is done, it's permanently deleted. Furthermore, if there is an accidental deletion, very less chance that people would realize that it was an accidental deletion until that time in the recycle bin. So it's gone forever. But then, the newer or the other concern or question that comes in is, I have an E3 or an E5 license from Microsoft. Doesn't that protect my data? Well, both E3 and E5 are great additions to your Microsoft 365 environment. They provide additional features, but data protection is not among them. E3 greatly expands your device management options and adds additional data security. Upgrading to E5 gives you even stronger data security, but neither of them provide backup and recovery. So how is it possible to lose data in a SaaS application? Now that's again something which comes quite often. Now let's try to deep dive and see what the market has to say about it. In a research report from earlier this year, ESG found that 45% of SaaS data losses were caused by simple deletion of data, whether it was accidental or malicious. Native functionality offered by SaaS providers isn't enough to provide real protection against deletion. Things like recycle bin only keeps files for a limited period of time. Any accidental deletion of files in the recycle bin becomes permanent. So lastly, recycle bins do not provide bulk restore options. They do not provide recovering a single point. They're not bad. Basically, they're not bad on recovering a single file if you notice mistake right away. But recovering a large number of files from recycle bin is definitely not something which is an easy task. We are now going to look at the anatomy of the ransomware attack. And once we look at the anatomy, we will also try to overlay the SaaS data on it. So as we go on, what is ransomware? Let's start with some basics. We are all familiar with the term malware. Software that means harm to you. That's simply defined as malware. Now, ransomware is a specific type of malware. Rather than deleting data, it encrypts in place, locking organizations out of their own data accounts and applications. The person behind the ransomware is essentially holding your data hostage in order to extort money from you. What you need to remember is that the people behind malware are part of criminal organizations. So some ransomware will grab a copy of your data, then blackmail you into paying more to not having big data released to public. Isn't that the worst thing? Well, paying up is the worst thing, but paying up is still no guarantee that you will regain access to your data or the data won't be made public. These are criminals that we're talking about. So it's important. But surely SaaS is not affected by ransomware. I mean, this is something which I hear quite a lot in my conversations. Well, many people operating under the belief that data stored in a cloud is somehow safe somewhere from ransomware. The same people may also believe that their cloud providers are actively backing their data up. They are not. The short answer is no. Okay, so data stored in the cloud can be attacked, but the data stored in SaaS application platforms is surely safe, isn't it? Well, sadly, no. Security experts have identified several strains of ransomware specifically designed for attacking SaaS applications. You're probably thinking, that has to be a mistake. Well, ransomware just encrypts the data on the local machine. Yes and no. It does encrypt all files and machine content locally, but it will also encrypt data that it can access. So your email and your OneDrive folders are synchronizing from on-prem to cloud. I have my OneDrive sync running right away. But in order for all of that to work together, you need write access to the data. This means that ransomware can actually encrypt your inbox or your mailbox, shared mailboxes, shared drives, SharePoint, and OneDrive site collections all at once. So the harsh reality of ransomware, one of the scariest things about ransomware is that it can attack anyone at any time. In fact, there is only a single misclick standing between us and ransomware. That's all it takes. It's not just a misclick by your trained and skilled IT folks. Any one of your users can expose the organization to ransomware with one bad mouse click. So how does ransomware attack the SaaS? And let's see how that happens through your users. So first, let's take an example with Bob from product marketing. Bob took the required security training to help in learning how to avoid threats. He rushed into the training to get it done. He's a little disorganized and feels like he always has more work to do than he has time for. He's always rushing, often completing things last minute. It is easy to see how Bob could make a misclick and trigger ransomware before he even noticed. On the other hand, we have Sue. Sue is from product management and she's very conscientious. She paid attention to even took notes during the entire required training and took it seriously. She's incredibly organized and never rushed. And she's never missed a deadline since she's joined the company. Sue works very hard to check links and files before clicking, and it is far less likely to make a mistake like a misclick than Bob. However, the truth is that we are only human. Anyone can make a mistake, no matter if it is Bob or Sue, no matter how careful and diligent they are. So how does ransomware hit your organization's data? Let's walk through how ransomware can get in and spread in your organization. First, the point of entry. A user clicks something that they shouldn't have. This launches the ransomware, which will encrypt the user's files. It gets worse. It won't just encrypt the user's files. It will attempt to encrypt all files on that machine, everything to which the user has privileged access to. OneDrive and the other shared platforms work by presenting file structure to the machine as if it was local files, as good as mounted network shares. Everything in those files and folders that the user can write to or can edit get encrypted. It won't just be that user who can't work. There could be multiple such groups that are impacted just because you're working in a shared environment. You can see how this is far worse than encrypting the files on one machine. Hundreds of files across your collaboration platforms can be affected. The recycle bin is useless here. The platform doesn't put a copy there because we are not deleting it, it's just encrypting. To the platform, encrypting a file looks like the same as editing it. It's just a change to the file. It can be extremely difficult to identify which files were affected and which weren't. The more shared files you have, the more complex this problem becomes. A lot of SaaS backup products have restores that offer a choice of all or one. You can restore the entire collection set, overwriting legitimate file changes that were made to unaffected files, or you can restore only the affected files one at a time, and you can restore from the most recent backup before the ransomware hit. If your backup if you back up only once or twice a day, the entire day's work is lost. So depending on the strain of the ransomware you're hit with, things can end up being even worse. The criminals using ransomware to try to extort you are smart enough to understand the frequent backups are there, there would be victims' best defense. Some ransomware will have code that tries to locate and encrypt your backup as well. If production gets encrypted, you have a good recent backup copy you can recover. If production and your backups get hit, you're going to lose both the data as well as the backup. Now let's talk about how NetBackup SaaS protection helps you protect your data from ransomware. First, it creates a completely separate copy and keeps it aside. Your backups are completely segregated and completely in a separate location. NetBackup SaaS protection stores all data on immutable storage. In the unlikely case that the ransomware somehow finds that the backups are in there are backups, there is no way that they can make changes to these backups purely because it's on immutable storage. Many SaaS backup products run backups daily. A few of them brag that they can run backups up to 4 times a day. Our solution is extremely high performant. Want to run backups every hour or even 15 minutes? We can do it. For the site collections like SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business, we can perform continuous data protection, which creates near real-time backups of all your data changes. More frequent backups reduce your recovery point objective. That means that you minimize the data lost. On the recovery side, the high performance lets you recover and restore very quickly. This reduces your recovery time objective, minimizing the amount of time your data takes to be restored and minimizing the time that you are back at work. All right, so with that said, I'm going to hand it over to David for a quick demonstration. David, over to you.
Thank you, Amit. Hi, everyone. In this short demo, we like to show you how NetBackup SaaS protection can help you to recover from ransomware attack. So what we have here is the OneDrive of Christy. And we have customer folder that we have created for this demo. And this customer folder have two files. One is the Excel file, and the other one is the PowerPoint files. And this OneDrive also synchronized to the desktop. So we can see here from the desktop that being synchronized to the OneDrive. And this file and folder are being backed up by NetBackup SaaS protection regularly, and we will keep all the versioning. And by default, NetBackup SaaS protection have unlimited retention. But you can change the retention based on your company policy, but by default, it's unlimited retention. In the event of ransomware attack, ransomware are encrypting our files. We can see here, those two files, the Excel file and also the PowerPoint file now are being encrypted. And because this desktop are doing synchronized to the OneDrive, we can see also from the OneDrive, the file now is encrypted. So how we can recover from this situation? We can go to NetBackup SaaS protection console here. We can go to the content. And we choose the SharePoint OneDrive connectors. Select the OneDrive. And from here, we can see all the OneDrive that being backup. As I log in with the admin user, I can see all the user OneDrive. Let's choose Christy OneDrive and try to recover from there. Choose the customer. And we can see the Excel, and also the PowerPoint file that being backed by Net Backup SaaS Protection. And from here, we can see that Net Backup SaaS Protection also backup the versions, all the versions. So every file in this example have 2 versions. So we're going to recover all version. We choose restore here. The restore type will be SharePoint or OneDrive. And the destination is the configuration that we already created before. And we also can send notification to Christy so she can know when the recovery is done. And we also have option to do recover to the original place or to different place or different folder. From here, we can browse. You can see the structure of the OneDrive. There's a customer, but in this demo, I will create a recovery folder. We select recover. And we check this restore all version because we want that all the version will being restored. And from here, we can also choose the point in time restore. You can choose restore all, point in time. Basically, point in time, you can choose what date that you want to restore the files. Or you can have an option for a specific range. This is the time range, last 6 hours, last 24 hours, or you can choose the from date or until the to date, okay? And in this demo, I just select restore all and force override. I click restore. And now the export has been queued, and we will get notification by email when the export completed. We can check here from the Christie Outlook. Okay, we got the notification from NSP saying that the export has completed. We can find the file here. We can click here, or we just can see from the OneDrive. Okay, the recovery folder, the recover folder are here. And we can see that now the file are being restored. We can check the version history from the file. And the version is there, the file version is there. And we also can confirm to the desktop. And the recover folder and the 2 files now already restored. And that's how you can restore your file when you got attacked from the ransomware. Thank you.
Thank you, David. That was a lovely presentation and a good simulation of how things could be restored using Net Backup SaaS Protection. So to summarize, Net Backup SaaS Protection is the optimal data protection solution for data in your SaaS applications. It protects your SaaS data against both accidental or malicious deletion, as well as protecting it from ransomware or other forms of data corruption. Net Backup SaaS Protection was designed from ground up to be a SaaS application, allowing you to protect your data on the most commonly used SaaS applications. Their backup SaaS protection provides a performance, scalability, and the hardened security that an enterprise needs. NetBackup SaaS protection is unique in offering all its benefits through dedicated single tenant instance for its ability to automate data sovereignty compliance. The full suite of NetBackup solutions is the market leader for enterprise data protection. So NetBackup SaaS protection has several flexible deployment options, helping to ensure that you get exactly what your organization needs. Your first choice is NetBackup SaaS Protection Edition, is the best fit for your organization. The three options for Enterprise, Enterprise Plus, and Enterprise Elite. The difference between the editions is full support for more features with each higher level of edition. For example, if you're looking for simple, reliable, and secure backup for your SaaS data and have no need for other additional features, you're most likely good with Enterprise Edition. If you're needing features like providing your users the ability to perform self-service restores on their own backup data, or the ability to scale out over multiple Azure regions, you're going to need Enterprise Plus Edition. If you need the extra data protection provided by the full geo-redundancy or the need of software developer kit in the SDKs, because you have plans to integrate with that backup SaaS protection into an application that was developed in-house, then you're looking at an Elite edition for you. Your second choice is hosting options you want. Your choices are to have Veritas hosted your dedicated instance of NetBackup SaaS protection, or you can host it in your own Azure instance. The most notable difference between the two options is that you choose Veritas hosting, your billing will be simpler. You'll just receive one single bill because all Azure storage fees or for your backup are included in the subscription. If you choose to host it in your instance, you will pay your Azure fees separately. A large majority of our customers have chosen Veritas hosting for NetBackup SaaS protection, but we have several customers who have their own hosting instances as well. Your last choice is the length of subscription. NetBackup SaaS protection is offered in 12, 24, and 36-month subscription. Regardless of the length of your subscription, it includes onboarding services to assist with initial setup, configuration, and 24/7 365 support. With that, you will want to be aware of how NetBackup SaaS protection licenses are counted. SaaS applications like Microsoft 365, Google Drive, or Slack are licensed based on the number of users who need protection. Other workloads like structured data, unstructured data, and file archives are licensed based on the number of terabytes of the entire data being protected. So if you have been intrigued by what you have seen today, here are some additional easy ways to learn more. Get more information from the Veritas.com website. Set up a call with our Veritas or reseller account manager. Schedule a demo or your own show and see how we meet our specific data requirements. So with that said, I'm going to sign off. Thank you, and thanks for joining again. Bye-bye.